Welcome to Love Lattes, the podcast designed for women who are ready to stop settling and start living a life full of authentic love, confidence, and real connection. I'm your host, Victoria, the self-love scientist, speaker, and coach, and I'm here to help you reclaim your power, deepen your relationships, and fall unapologetically in love with yourself. So grab your tea, your latte, or your favorite beverage, and let's get started.
Have you ever felt like you're doing all the quote right things, but still not receiving the life or even the love you want? What if manifestation is not just about vision boards or chasing, but more about becoming radically honest with who you are and what it is you truly desire? Well, my loves, in today's episode of Love and Lattes, I am joined by Naomi Kreske, a certified mindset and confidence coach, founder of Keep Finding You. Naomi helps women strengthen their self-belief, clarity, and confidence through grounded manifestation principles rooted in awareness, worthiness, and trust. Today, we're going to dive in what it really means to align yourself with the life you want and how to become the woman who can receive it. Welcome, Naomi.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. I myself, I'm a huge fan of vision boards. I've got
Yes.
Pinterest on my phone, but the wild thing is I have made vision boards probably over the past 3 years. And my favorite thing is, and I started to notice this probably 2 years ago, but I would make them like they're my background, they're my on my cell phone. And interesting enough, there are parts of my life that have come to fruition from that board.
Yeah.
So, and I know that for myself, I am in a different state and presence than I was years ago. So what I'd love to kind of dive into is, for those listening, like I make vision boards and it's not working. Can we kind of dive into that? What is it about, it's more than that when it comes to manifesting what you want.
So vision boards, I actually love vision boards also. And I just recently got into them a couple years ago because I didn't believe in the power of the vision board. Like it was just an arts and crafts project. Like, what is this actually going to do for me? But I have since learned that vision boards are a very like tangible manifestation tool. And it's a way to sort of train your brain to recognize the things that you want in your life to make them safe. Because, our brains are hardwired for flight, fight, or freeze, back to the caveman days of that's how we had to survive. But, we don't have to survive that way anymore. Somehow that instinct is still there, but the things that we want in our lives, are big, are scary, are hard work, and our brain thinks that that's scary, and that fear response, keeps you from achieving the things that you want to. So a vision board is a wonderful way to train your brain to feel safe with the goals that you want to accomplish. And that visualization is tied to manifestation. So it's a very cool tool. I think it's a good way to step into manifestation because it's not as woo-woo as to, just like sitting there meditating and hoping and praying that your life is magically better, which is a lot what people think manifestation is.
Mhm.
It's it's not. There is an active piece of manifestation that you need to participate in. Like you can't just wish for your life to be amazing and better. You actually have to uh do the work, and I guess we can talk about that now. My three core principles for manifestation. And that first step is a doozy. It's you have to get really clear on who you are, what you want to achieve in life. So it's that clarity, it's that self-awareness. Like awareness is definitely the foundation for all change in life. Like you have to know where you've been, why you're stuck, where you want to go. Like those are some pretty heavy questions. And a lot of people shy away from that deep introspection because you got to sit with yourself and
Hmm.
really sort of look at who you are and like why you are where you're at in your life. And that can be really scary. And I think a lot of people avoid the self-awareness and that clarity step because they're afraid of what they're going to see.
I love that you said that. And I think it is interesting where when we hear manifestations, it's like an affirmation. And even those tend to be hard to land for some people. It's like, well, I do feel like I am worthy, but I'm just not feeling it. Or I want to be confident, so I'll just keep thinking I am. But it's like, but what are the necessary steps? And I do feel that in order to really begin that process, I feel when you start thinking about like even going back to the vision board, right? So let's say you're doing a vision board and you see these pictures and you're like, that is what I want. But then you have to sit there and think about like, you know, where am I at right now? Is this a part of, my purpose? Is this part of the things I want to do and who I want to become? And
Hmm.
even see and feel into that sense that it is possible. So when you say, just being honest with yourself, which is it's not easy because, it's not easy because the alternative is to ignore and keep kind of doing things on a rinse and repeat cycle, which then ends up with, not so much of fulfillment, kind of a lack. And then, yeah, we find those blocks of like, why haven't I gotten this yet? And I want this so bad. It's like, well, I don't think you're being specific enough. I don't think you're raising yourself high enough. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think being honest, what are some things we could ask ourselves in those moments for that first core principle about being honest with yourself? And how can we navigate those hard feelings? Because I feel like, if we're used to doing the same thing over and over, how can we
Right.
find that safety to be like, it's actually okay that I no longer have to accept this or take this anymore, you know?
Sure. Yeah, it's a lot of journaling, like, getting
Mm,
your feelings out on paper or even some meditation, getting quiet, quieting your mind and sort of listening to your inner guide, your intuition. Those first steps are really very scary. So you have to sort of be brave and you have to sort of just get comfortable with that fear because you're doing something new and that's part of it, um, I know a lot of people suffer with imposter syndrome and I've been there. It's shut me down so hard, even on my journey to becoming a coach. It shut me down. And I learned from listening to Mel Robbins talk about her definition of what imposter syndrome is. And she talks about that fear means that you are in the right place because you want something more. Of course, it's going to be scary. So accept that fear for what it is. And that means that you're in the right place, doing the right things.
mm.
I was like, where was that definition like 5, 6 years ago when I needed it?
Right? And I do appreciate you sharing that though, because it can feel like, well, how could I ever be that? Or the power of really sitting in the silence. I would highly recommend to anyone listening, like even spend a day or plan a day where you're not on your phone scrolling and you just, you can do any kind of practice, but really just allow yourself to be with yourself without any outside
Yeah,
intrusion because it can be easy to default what we feel or are led to believe is
yeah,
what the right quote path is. So this is really great. So first core principle is to be radically honest with yourself. Definitely disconnect. And I love journaling. Journaling is my favorite new thing. I started that more consistently last year, and
yeah,
it has become a very powerful tool. And I think this year is definitely more about being honest, you know, big picture, what can you do different compared to the constant, consistent patterns you've done before? So, what is your second core principle?
So my second core principle is learning how to receive.
Mm,
So that sounds really simple because, like you want something. So yeah, I can take it. I can take the money, I can take the love, I can take the job, I can take the house. But can you? Like a
mm.
lot of times, so this stems from, I think it stems from feeling worthy. Like you know that you want the thing and you want the life and you want all these things, but do you feel worthy enough to hold it and hold it for a
Mm,
long time and keep it and build a relationship with it and love it? A lot of times our worthiness will self-sabotage. Our lack of worth and then will completely self-sabotage. That's why, like, you find lottery winners. They win a ton of money and then they're filing bankruptcy like 5 years later because they aren't a whole vessel. Like they don't have the worthiness that they can hold on to that money. And that's the same concept with anything you're trying to manifest. So the second principle is, doing the inner work, healing and becoming a vessel that can hold the manifestations that you're calling into your life. Because until you are whole, the universe isn't going to give you everything that you want. You might get teased with a little bit here and there, but you're not going to get the whole package until you are ready to hold what you're asking for.
mm. What do you think that requires us to do?
We'll be back after a quick break.
I've been thinking a lot about patterns lately, especially the ones that show up in our relationships. For a long time, mine looked like overgiving, people pleasing, and convincing myself that if I shrink myself down just a little bit smaller, I would be enough. But knowing a pattern and actually breaking it are two very different things. And trying to untangle that alone can feel overwhelming. That's where therapy can help. Having outside support can help you recognize your patterns without judgment and make choices that actually support you. And that's why I'm grateful for today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp makes therapy more accessible by connecting you with a licensed therapist online so you can get the right support in a way that fits your life and your schedule. Love and Latte listeners can get 10% off their first month of therapy by going to betterhelp.com/love and lattes or by clicking the link in today's episode description. Breaking cycles isn't about fixing yourself, it's about learning to love yourself differently.
So it's the inner work. It's developing a relationship with what you want. So let's go back to money. Money's been a big one for me, and my history with money hasn't been really great um, because of not necessarily like my childhood. My childhood ideas around money were very different than what they are now. And my relationship with money through my previous marriage and then on my own, I never felt like good enough. Like I always had to struggle, that having money was a struggle. So it's rewiring your mindset on the things that you want to call in. And so I've had to really actually work on my relationship with money. It sounds silly, but I needed to change how I viewed money. Money isn't the root of all evil. Hello, Catholic upbringing.
Mm,
And I needed to treat money like I was in a relationship with it. Like I needed to respect it and I needed to take care of it and I needed to prioritize, how I treated it. So it's a little bit of a unique perspective, but you can do that with every piece of your life. Like your relationship with yourself, your relationship with love. Like, if you want love to come into your life, you need to be emotionally available. Like, for
Mm.
many years, that's after my divorce, I was a hot mess and I wanted love still very badly. And I didn't understand why I kept attracting douchebags, but I was emotionally unavailable. So all I was attracting was more emotionally unavailable people. So I had to that was like a big aha moment for me. And the second that I realized that I was the problem and that I was the one that was emotionally unavailable, I was like, "Oh my God, I have to fucking change this because I want the love of my life to see me, to recognize me, to want to be with me." And I was not worthy of that. So, you know,
Mm.
changing my mindset and working on my relationship with myself so I could be, an emotionally available person was my primary goal in life for a few years.
Oh, I love that. I think that's actually it's a very good um almost like perception because I do feel like just back to the lottery thing, the universe will be like, "Oh, here's a hint." And then, here you go. Here's the thing you've been asking for. And we will have it and then we're like and then we drop it, right? We're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
fuck."
Yeah.
And it's because we're just, like you said, and especially for women, to be in a state of receivership is so much harder than it sounds. It's like, oh yeah, I could totally be feminine. It's like, no, but I also have to trust myself. I also have to know that I am worthy enough to be in this state. Like for
Yep.
example, I love flying and there was a point where I was getting ready to board and I was being having a friendly conversation with one of the front desk and they were like, if this person doesn't show up, we'll put you in first class. And I was like, thank you. And it was a very innocent conversation and it worked. Like all I had to do, he said, all you have to do is just wait. He said, just
Yeah.
wait, let everyone board, and you will be able to sit in this class. And I said, okay, I can be patient and I can, see what happens because the worst case was I would be in my already paid seat. And it
Yeah.
ended up working. And it was just, I held myself in the regard that I move through life by spreading compassion and kindness. And it just was a easy conversation that led to a very comfortable way back home. And I think for women, it's easier for us to, we can be so stubborn sometimes.
Hmm.
And we're like, no, it has to be this specific thing, right?
Right.
I won't take this. Like even compliments are hard to
Yeah.
receive because
Oh,
we
yeah.
deep down, like you can say this to your girlfriends and you'll know, secret hack. If you compliment them, if it bounces back to you, they're like, you say you look so great, and they're like, oh, this thing, or no, I
Yeah.
don't, or no, you. It's like you need to just let me love on you for a second
Yeah.
and accept that. Good start.
That is actually a very simple thing that you can do to practice receiving is practice receiving a compliment.
Mm,
And it was something I was doing for a while. Like when somebody would say something nice or compliment me, I would literally say, "Thank you, I can receive that." I know
mm.
it sounds weird. And they were
No,
like,
I love
"Okay." But
that.
this was an activity that I needed to do so I could become better at receiving. So, yeah, something little that you can do.
I love that. I started this other way for receiving just for like self-love. And now I share it with all my clients. I do mirror talk. I've been doing this for years where I stand in front of the mirror and I compliment myself.
Okay.
And
I
that's how
love
I start
that.
my day. And it's nice because then you're smiling at yourself. So you're
Yeah.
smiling at the universe and the universe is
Yeah.
gonna smile and compliment you back.
I can imagine that that's probably really hard was that really hard to do when you first started?
Yes. The
Yeah.
first time I did it, I did not believe that at all.
Right.
I was like, yeah, you're beautiful, sure. Or even saying I
Uh-huh.
love you, like saying I love you in the
Right.
mirror is
Yeah.
very hard. But that's another side conversation. So right now so the first core principle was to be honest in who you want to be and what it is you want. comparative to where you are. The second core principle you said is to be in a state of receivership.
Yeah.
So this leads us into the third one. And
Yeah.
what is the third core principle?
So the third one is they're all big, but this one was the hardest one for me. And I think it's going to be the hardest one for most because it is having faith and letting go.
Mm,
And that idea of believing in something that's unknown and not forcing and not like controlling every little bit is a lot to let go of because I know for me as a woman, um, you know, culture has asked us to force things into control and we have to be in charge because, woman power and empowerment is great, but it's, I think, sort of forced us into this place that we have to force life and we have to hustle. This hustle culture is like so overwhelming and exhausting. And the idea of letting go and letting my faith in God, the universe, source, whatever your higher power may be, is is very scary. And it's something that I've been working very hard on for this whole last year. And like I finally feel like I'm in that place where I know what I want, and I can be an active participant in achieving my manifestations. But I know that the universe will deliver what is in my highest need, what's in my best interests. And I'm okay with that. And if it's not right now, it will be when it's supposed to be. So
mm,
it's, sitting back and just living in the moment and being present and enjoying what's already there and just having faith and letting go. It's a
mm.
paradox, I know.
I mean, you know what? That is a very powerful, and I can see why it would be a harder principle. And at the same time, like that's the thing. It's very similar to the second one, being in that state of receivership,
Hmm.
because if we can learn to trust the process and be knowing that, like you said, it may not be today. I mean, it may not even be next week, but what if it was? Like, what if it were to?
Right.
Can you allow yourself to just be present, to enjoy the fruits of your labor as you are, and then eventually the universe will surprise you. And I love that you
Yeah.
brought up faith, because that is also something new that I have been working on for a couple months, and I love that I can just open myself and give it out there, like, you know thank you, and it's in the hands here. I helped, like I drafted this process, but I need to feel that it is going to be okay. And like you said, like it will present itself, and if it doesn't, that's okay. It's just not the right time, which means maybe
Right.
it's going back and revisiting those principles. Maybe there's something else there. So
Yeah.
I love that.
Often,
That's
yeah, oftentimes, when a manifestation hasn't come, it's because there's still something left for you to learn.
mm,
And for me, that's been, something that I go back to quite often. So I was like, okay, it's not coming. So what else can I learn? Like what else can I learn to bring this manifestation into my life? So it's a hard perspective to see sometimes because, a lot of times we are self-centered individual beings in general.
yeah.
So looking outside and just be like, okay, my manifestation hasn't come yet. What else can I learn? How else should I grow? What else can I heal? Like it's it's hard, but
Right. And
so very worth it.
it might be also a really good time to check in. Like maybe you've been outpouring yourself to things that aren't adding, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's something that I know I personally will experience, where it's like, wow, I've been really like, I'm so proud of the work I'm doing, but when was the last time I actually stopped for a minute
Yes.
and just be like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. And
Yeah.
I do think, again, kind of back to your disconnect, like kind of being in the quiet stillness and realizing that you're still making really great progress. And if you go online or if you talk to other people, you might hit some almost I don't want to say sting, but it's almost like don't let what they say deter you from what it is you're working towards, unless they are the exact person you are trying to become. Like that's a different story. But yeah, letting go and having faith in the process is that it is literally being like go in with no expectations, just knowing it's already yours. Like it's mine.
Yeah.
I will have it. It's just,
Yep.
mm.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like in all the people that I've learned from with manifestation, you have to sort of live as though you already have it.
Mm.
Like it's and that's not like that you already have all the money. It's you have the mindset, you have the attitude, you have the emotions. Like so much with manifestation is tied to emotions and, the feeling and the energy that you are putting out, because that's what you're going to end up getting back. So if you put out the energy of already having your manifestations, that will make it clearer for them to be able to come in.
Mm. I had a very similar conversation with another guest where we talked about what is the feeling and energy you're putting into these thought processes, because that also has a huge output. So like when you're doing your vision board, when you're sitting and journaling, like really take a look at like what are the feelings. And I also think that could be something fun, especially for everyone listening when you're starting out with the imagination or the vision boards. Like, what are the feelings that are present with what it is you're wanting to call in? Because let
Yes.
me tell you, when I look at my vision board, I always remind myself of the feelings I'm trying to evoke in each image. Like, oh, I feel this, and it's such a wonderful feeling versus like, I have to have it. Rah!
Yeah.
I want
No.
it.
The feeling, and then that's such a good place to be with your vision board is, and especially picking images that evoke the feeling that you're trying to achieve, because feelings and images go to your subconscious way faster than anything else. And it will tie to, that your nervous or your neuroscience, your brain to bring them to a safe place that much faster. So, yeah, feelings are everything.
Oh my gosh. This has been such a great conversation, Naomi. And just to kind of highlight everything, the three core principles of manifestation are being honest with yourself. And then the second one was being in a state of receivership. And finally, having faith and letting go.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, wow, wow. I mean, short, but so vividly powerful. And
Yeah.
I feel like this is a really great reminder that life isn't really meant to be controlled.
Mm-mm.
It's meant to, if it comes easily to you, that is how it is meant to be.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, Naomi, thank you so much for being on Love and Lattes. This was such
You're
a like,
welcome.
I mean, obviously we could keep talking about it.
Yes, we could.
I absolutely love this. And is there anything else you'd love to share with our guests before we close out?
So for me, I've always loved manifestation, and I know that a lot of people are intimidated by it. So I love bringing the woo-woo down to earth, and I hope that these three principles can do that for people, because a lot of people don't know where to start. Like, what do I do? Like, people want to be told what to do amazingly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really hope that these three core principles help people get started on, manifesting their dream lives.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here, Naomi. And
Yes.
everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you in the next episode.